Hi, this is Ridea Keeping It Real, and we're reading through the Bible using the Good News Bible. We're on the Apocrypha books, the hidden books, and we're on Second Maccabees. Second Maccabees chapter 13. And will be my second time reading chapter 13. I just read it, and my camera messed up and abruptly ended it. So I'm going to reread it. And I can tell you that when I read it the first time and the things I highlighted is that what the Ruach HaKodesh told me was that this reading, not just this chapter, but some of these books in the Apocrypha are instructive. They are what to do, instruction. So it's not just reading a story, it is reading a story that happened and what they did. How the system retreated, tried to fool them, how the Israelites prayed to God, how long they prayed, how God helped them. It's instructive for us. So that's how I'm reading this, and that's how I see it. So chapter 13 is Menelaus is put to death. This is that high priest that bought the priesthood, and he's not even of the priestly line. So watch out, he dies. And this is interesting. So in the year 149, Judas Maccabeus and his followers found out that Antiochus Epictor was marching against Judea with a large army, and that Lysias, the young king's guardian and head of the government, was with him. They had a force of Greek troops consisting of 110,000 infantry, 5,300 cavalry, 22 elephants, and 300. It's getting ready to go out on me again. Just one moment. Okay, so 22 elephants and 300 chariots with sharp blades attached to their wheels. So they had a lot of weapons, armistry, a big military force. Menelaus, this high priest, was trying to take advantage of the situation. He went over to their side. Now, Menelaus was Israelite, pretending to be Israelite. I don't even think he was an Israelite. I think he actually was not. I think he let me go back and see. It's probably important to know this. He buys the office from Jason. He steals the temple funds. He's not the rightly priest. Okay. Menelaus is trying to take advantage of the situation. He went over to their side and urged them on, not because he was concerned for the country, but because he hoped to be confirmed as high priest. He was trying to get a position. But God, the King of Kings, made Antiochus furious with Menelaus. Lysias proved to Antiochus that this criminal had been the source of all of his troubles. So Antiochus ordered him to be taken to the city of Berea and put to death in a way that was done there. This is what was done there. In that city, there's a tower about 75 feet high. It is filled with ashes, and all around the inside of the tower is a platform sloping down into the ashes. People accused of crimes against the gods or any other serious crimes are taken there and thrown down to their death. Menelaus was put to death in that way without even having the privilege of burial. So burial is a privilege. That's key and kind of important to know. So, and that was just what he deserved. He had often profaned the sacred ashes of the altar fire in the temple, and now he met his death in ashes. So it's important for me because I've been doing a lot of research for one of my writer works projects on the ways to dispose of dead bodies, right? Whether it's burial, which is super expensive, right? It's about here in Virginia where I am at, I went to and priced it. It's about $13,000. Or cremation, and then there's something called water cremation. It's not available in every state, but in Virginia it is, which is less expensive. But this is telling me burial was a privilege, right? Okay. A battle near the city of Modin. King Antiochus arrogantly continued his barbaric invasion of Judah, intending to deal with the Jews more harshly than his father had ever done. When Judas learned of this, he told the people to do what? This is what they've been doing this whole time. To pray to the Most High. When? Day and night. Because they were in danger of losing their law, their country, and their holy temple. And never before they needed never before they needed his help and protection to keep their newly restored country from falling into hands of the godless Gentiles. I am telling you that this is instructive. So even if we turn this thing around and we're able to, and we are right now, we're able to practice our customs that we're learning, keeping the Sabbath, foods that we are not to eat, festivals that we are to honor, books. The Most High is helping us find books that we need to read. We're able to do all of that right now without anybody killing us for doing it, right? It doesn't mean we're going to always be able to do it. It doesn't mean that at all, right? So this is like, what do you do when they come up against you? What do you do? What did they do? For 3 days, the people did nothing. They did nothing but lie face down on the ground, fasting and crying, begging the merciful Lord for his help. Then Judah spoke words of encouragement to the people, urging them to get ready for action. Action. Get up. We got to act. Afterward, Judas met privately with the Israelite leaders and decided to march out, with God's help, to battle against the king, rather than to wait for Antiochus to invade Judea and besiege Jerusalem. Then, leaving the outcry of the battle to the creator of the world. It's like the outcome of whatever this is going to be, the creator of the world is going to take care of it. Faith in believing that. And then those 3 days of prayer by all of his people helped. So Judas encouraged his men to fight bravely and to be willing to die for their laws. Die for what? Their laws. Die for what? The temple. Die for what? Their country. And what? Their whole way of life. So I do not believe, let's say this thing turns around and we all get together and we're the nation and we're above. It doesn't mean that the people who are going to lose their leadership are going to go quietly. And even if we win a few battles, doesn't mean they're not going to come back and try to take over again. And what do? This is instructive to me. So what do? They set up camp near the city of Modin. Judas gave his men the battle cry. Victory comes from God. That was his battle cry. Just kind of like when you're getting ready to go into a basketball game and y'all put your hands together and you say something. Go team. Victory comes from the Most High. Not from our hands, not from our measly whatever resources we have compared to all of these resources here. Victory comes from God. And that night, with a picked force of his bravest young men, he attacked the area near the king's tent and killed as many as 2,000 men. They also stabbed to death the lead elephant and its keeper. Those elephants must have been important. Everyone in the camp was terrified and in panic when Judas and his men finally left victorious just before dawn. The help and protection of the Most High had made all this possible. So they win that battle. So Antiochus V makes a treaty with the Jews. He's like, even though I have all of this armorry and all these men and all these elephants, I am not strong enough for these people when their God is with them. So let me try to make a treaty with them. This taste of Israelite daring was enough to convince King Antiochus that he had to find some better way of capturing the Israelite positions. He attacked the strong Israelite fort of Betzar, but was repeatedly beaten back and finally defeated. Judas sent supplies to the men who were defending the fort, but an Israelite soldier by the name of Rhodocus gave some secret information to the enemy. He was found out, however, and caught, and what? Put to death. The king made a second attempt to come to terms with the people of Betzar, and when he had reached an agreement with them, he withdrew his forces. Then he went to attack Judas. But again, he was defeated. Meanwhile, Philip had been left at Antioch in charge of the government, but King Antiochus learned that he had revolted. The king did not know what to do, so he initiated peace talks with the Jews, and they agreed to the terms and promised to be just in his treatment of them. To put the treaty into effect, he offered a sacrifice, giving a generous gift to show his respect for the temple, and graciously received Judas Maccabees. After that, the king appointed Hegemondes to be governor of the territory between the city of Ptolemais and Gerar, and then he himself went on to Ptolemais. The people there were angry because of the treaty he had made with the Jews. So angry, in fact, that they wanted the treaty canceled. Like, why ain't you trying to deal with them? But Lysias made a public speech defending the treaty as well as he could. After he had calmed the people down and convinced them that he was right, he returned to Antioch. In this way, King Antiochus' invasion was turned into a retreat. So they're trying to save face. All right, we're going on to chapter 14. Alchemist speaks against Judas. 3 years later, 3 years went by. I guess they were all in peace for this 3 years this treaty was holding. Judas and his men learned that Demetrius, son of Seleucus, had sailed into the port of Tripolis with a powerful army and a fleet. It was reported that he had killed King Antiochus and his guardian Lysias and had taken over the country. Man, that's deep. It's boom, coming in. This is my country. There was a man by the name of Alchemist who had formerly been high priest, but who had gladly adopted the Greek way of life during the revolt. Okay, he gave in, realizing that he could never again be high priest, and fearful of what the Jews might do to him, he went to see King Demetrius in the year 151. On this occasion, he presented the king with a gold crown. This is that picture up there. With a gold crown, a palm branch, together with some olive branches traditionally presented to the temple. But He said nothing about his plans. Later, however, he got the chance to put his foolish plans into effect when Demetrius summoned him to a meeting of his advisors and asked him what the Jews were intending to do. Like, be a snitch for me. What's going on? How do these people think? And, I think about like people that are in the Congress and the Senate and that, in the city governments, and they may be quote unquote so-called black people. And at the end of the day, they're this person. They're this person. Like, how do these people think? How can we control these people? What are these people gonna do next? That type of thing. Alchemist said, the followers of Judas Maccabees, he's talking, the followers of Judas Maccabees think of themselves as devout and patriotic. They love war and are constantly inciting the people to rebellion and will never leave the nation in peace. It is their fault that I no longer hold the glorious position of high priest to which I am entitled by birth. And so I come here primarily out of a genuine concern for your interests as king, but also out of consideration for my own countrymen. For the foolish policies of Judas and his followers have brought terrible suffering on our nation. When your majesty has examined all the details of these matters, please act in your usual kind and generous manner to relieve the oppression of our nation and its people. As long as Judas is alive, it will be impossible for our nation to enjoy peace. Ugh. Okay, Demetrius sends Nicanor to attack Judas. As soon as Alcimus had finished his speech, the other advisors quickly seized the opportunity to arouse Demetrius' anger against Judas because they had hated him. So King Demetrius immediately appointed Nicanor, who was the commander of the elephant forces, to be governor of Judea, and sent him there with orders to do what? To kill Judas, scatter his followers, and make Alcimus high priest of the greatest temple in all of the world. All the foreigners in Judea who had fled from Judas's attacks now rushed to join forces with Nicanor because they thought that any defeat or trouble that came to the Jews would be to their advantage. The Jews heard that Nicanor was attacking and that the foreigners in their country were giving them their support. So they threw dirt on themselves and prayed to their God. Wow. Okay. Who had chosen their nation as his possession forever and had never failed to help in the time of need. Then Judas, their leader, gave the orders, and they immediately marched out to engage the enemy in battle near the village of Adasa. Judas' brother Simon was fighting Nicanor, but was gradually losing the battle because of an unexpected move on the part of the enemy. However, when Nicanor heard how bravely and courageously Judas and his men were fighting for their country, he decided not to settle the matter in battle. Instead, he sent Posidius, Theodotus, and Matthias to make a treaty with the Jews. After the terms of the treaty had been worked out in detail, Nicanor informed his troops, and they unanimously agreed. Then a day was set on which the leaders would meet in private. Ceremonial chairs were brought out from each camp and set up. Judas had taken the precaution of placing battle-ready troops in strategic places in case of sudden treachery on the part of the enemy. But the two leaders had a friendly meeting. Nicanor stayed on in Jerusalem for some time after that. He did not mistreat the Jews in any way, and even sent away the people who had come over to his side. The two men became the best of friends, and Judas was Nicanor's constant companion. Nicanor urged him to marry and start a family, so Judas did this and settled down to a peaceful life. Okay. Nicanor turns against Judas. When Alchemist noticed how well Nicanor and Judas were getting along, he obtained a copy of the treaty and went to see King Demetrius. He told the king that Nicanor was disloyal to the government because he had appointed the traitor Judas to be his successor. These false accusations infuriated the king, and in his anger he wrote to Nicanor, informing him that he was dissatisfied with the treaty, and ordered him to arrest Judas Maccabees and send him to Antioch at once. When this message reached Nicanor, he was hurt and didn't know what to do, because he did not like having to break an agreement with a man who had kept his part of the bargain. Yet it was impossible for him to ignore the king's command, so he began looking for a way to trap Judas. Judas, however, noticed that Nicanor was becoming hostile and rude toward him, and he knew that this was a bad sign. So he gathered a large number of his followers and went in hiding. When Nicanor realized that Judas had outsmarted him, he went to the great and holy temple at the time when the priests were offering sacrifice and ordered them to surrender Judas to him. But the priests declared under oath that they had no idea where Judas was hiding. Then Nicanor raised his right arm in the direction of the temple and made a solemn threat. If you do not hand Judas over to me as a prisoner, I will level God's temple to the ground, demolish this altar, and on this spot build a glorious temple to Dionysus. Then he left, and immediately the priests lifted their arms toward heaven and prayed to God, the faithful defender of our nation. Lord, you are in need of nothing, yet it has pleased you to place your temple here and to live amongst us. You alone are holy, and your temple has only recently been purified, so now protect its holiness forever. Racist dies for his country. One of the leaders in Jerusalem, a man by the name of Rhasis, was denounced to Nicanor. It was said that he had helped his people in many ways and was so highly respected by them that he was known as the father of the Jews. During the early days of revolution, he had risked his life for Judaism and had been brought to trial because of his loyalty, wanting to show clearly how much he disliked the Jews. Nicanor sent more than 500 soldiers to arrest Rhasis because he thought his arrest would be a crippling blow to the Jews. The soldiers were about to capture the tower where Rhasis had gone. They were forcing open the gates to the courtyard, and the order had been given to set the door on fire. Rhasis realized there was no escape, so he tried to commit suicide with his sword, preferring to die with honor rather than suffer humiliation at the hand of evil men. Under the pressure of the moment, Rhasis misjudged the thrust of the sword, and it did not kill him. So while the soldiers were swarming into the room, he rushed to the wall and jumped off like a brave hero into the crowd below. The crowd quickly moved back, and he fell in the space they left. Still alive! Oh, gosh. Still alive and burning with courage, he got up, and with blood gushing from his wounds, he ran through the crowd and finally climbed a steep rock. Now completely drained of blood, he tore out his intestines with both hands and threw them at the crowd. As he did so, he prayed for the Lord of life and breath to give them back to him. That is how he died. Oh, wow, it's hard to breathe again. And I thought I could go on. I thought, just push through it. Read on. Finish this. I cannot. That is, look at this. Oh, that is something. I mean, I don't even know what to think because I didn't expect that to be the ending. I did not expect that to be the ending. Not at all. And still, I think this is instructive for us. I still do. I just don't think I'm reading this for nothing. I think there's something here. It's like stories, things we need to remember. At least I do. At least I do. Because I could be watching a Netflix picture right now. Right? I could be. But I am not. I am reading this because something tells me I need to know it. I don't know what I need to know or why I need to know it, but something tells me I need to know it. I don't know why I don't have a gold, but I don't have a gold. This is the closest thing I have to gold. I don't know. This is deep to me, though. Very deep. Like, I mean, the part about I do have to kind of still do a little bit more research on burial. It's just so hard for me to believe this industry, this funeral business, has gotten so out of whack, and people have allowed it. Right? People have allowed it, where it's outrageous amount of money to bury your body, and people aren't ready for it. People aren't prepared for it. Like, yes, if you have life insurance, but even with that, it's still like, why would you spend all of that money to bury yourself? This is ridiculous that it costs that amount of money, and that we're allowing that. I look at more natural burials and the politics behind all of this. These people, these funeral homes, I get it. They want to stay in business. They want to make all the money they can make with, the casket and all the upcharge and all that. But somebody needs to do something. This is the way I see it. Nope, wrong color. And like I said, when I color this, I think about my granddaughter, where she would color something. I used to have a gift shop, and it basically was our studio. I didn't have a lot of people that came in there. I lost more money than I ever made there, but I had fun doing it. And so we would color and do different arts and crafts, her and I. And that's how she learned how to. And she really is an artist. She would start something, and I would look at it, and it would look bad. And then, but by the time she finished it, it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. She's a teenager now, so she doesn't want to act like she wants to color, but that's in her. It's in her. It's in her. That's a natural talent in her. Okay. I want to finish it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to come back and read the last chapter. So, till next time, let's try to keep it real.